I've thought a lot about how I wanted to present this video and how I wanted to cover Jason Kidd. If I wanted to just do this video as like a pretty more simplistic, like, is Jason Kidd a top 10 point guard of all time, top 5 point guard of all time? And while I think those questions will be answered within this video, I think what I wanted to focus on more was, can you win a championship with Jason Kidd as your best player on your team? So I want to say, yes, Jason Kidd was able to lead two teams to the finals in the New Jersey Nets in back-to-back years. And I think a lot of people discredit these years because of how weak the Eastern Conference one is. And this is true from like 1998, from Jordan's last ring with the Bulls to 2004 with the Pistons. Not a single Eastern Conference team won more than 3 games in the finals, including the New Jersey Nets. I think that is kind of just a bit of a cop-out because for me personally, having watched those finals games, I've watched 3 out of the 4 2002 finals games and 4 or 5 out of the 6 2003 finals games, and those teams were extremely competitive. In both of those regular seasons, Jersey Nets had a 500 record against top 5 seeds, a 6-8 record against top 3 seeds in the Western Conference. In the Los Angeles Lakers series, besides game 2, which was a blowout for the Lakers, all of those games were decided by 6 points or less, with a couple of them being game 3 and 4 coming down to the last couple of minutes where the Lakers were able to inch out the Nets. Against the Spurs as well, those games were extremely competitive with teams going back and forth and the New Jersey Nets completely being able to shut down the Spurs. I want to say game 2, especially the New Jersey Nets defense completely took out the Spurs. Jason Kidd was able to lock up Tony Parker, rotate very well, and just play great defense, as well as be able to carry the Nets offense. I think something as well that a lot of people will point to kind of discredit how good Jason Kidd is at carrying a team to the finals, as well as just a regular season team, is to look at some on-off numbers and say, oh, well, the team has a better offense than when he's off the floor. In certain circumstances, this is true, but I think the problem with looking at on and off stats, especially for the playoffs, is that Jason Kidd played 40 minutes a game, 42 minutes a game a lot of the time in the playoffs, so his on and off numbers are extremely small, as well as just subject to a lot of variance. If he gets subbed off and the New Jersey Nets go on an 8-0 quick little spree, does that have to do with Jason Kidd being bad at offense and the New Jersey Nets being much better with him off the floor? Or is that just they hit 2 shots and then drew a foul, I think these things are pretty important to contextualize, and a lot of the time watching, especially the New Jersey Nets, when he is that main guy, I don't think the team plays better with him offensively. I think the team's identity on offense changes, where it's a lot more space and pace, they have more shooters, and they have more guys who are quick triggers, like Kerry Kittles, Rodney Rogers, Lucius Harris, are all pretty good 3-point shooters off the catch and dribble. But at the same time, you can tell when teams are able to pressure the ball in those lineups, the Nets fell apart offensively because they didn't have anyone to organize them, get easy look, and if their shots weren't falling, if a Lucius Harris or Rodney Rogers weren't hot that game, taking Kidd out of the game is pretty much saying, oh yeah, we have no more offensive system, because no one on that team was able to organize and playmake at the level that Jason Kidd. And I think looking at and analyzing his playmaking and all the things that he does that don't really show up in the stat sheet are a massive part of the value that Jason Kidd's at. I think both of these plays really highlight his value. Here, he helps down low on Duncan, recovers to Parker to force him to a tough shot that leads to a block. On this play, he's reading the Spurs offense the whole time. He sees that he's trying to get down to a post-up. He takes away the cut, helps on the shot, leads it to an easy steal for Kenyon Martin. He's already leading the fast break right away. Here, it doesn't lead to a make, but that's still a great pass. Here, Kidd does a great job of getting more value without the ball in his hands. He battles down low and establishes himself in the paint, fighting for the boards. Gets the rebound, does a great pass to a good open shooter. It's Jason Kidd's ability to control the offense and get good high percentage looks for his team, possession after possession, cannot be understated. Yes, he did struggle to score, especially in his earlier career where he didn't have a jump shot. That is a problem, and it did make teams kind of be able to load up on him because he's such a elite passer, has elite vision. Even when teams are kind of sagging off of him, the second they reacted to him, he was able to pick them apart. I'm going to put clips up of this showing him just hitting quick little easy passes here and there, especially even when he goes up for a jump shot. He was great at going up for a jump shot and then just dumping it down to a big. And on the defensive side of the ball, he almost does play like a Draymond Green role, where he is helping off his man, he's switching 1 through 3, especially when you're looking at his later career, like in 2011. This dude was guarding LeBron James in the finals for long stretches and doing an amazing job, completely taking him out of it. And then he'll switch on to Dwayne Wade and hang with him. He could switch on to a Tony Parker Parker and Allen Iverson, yes, he did struggle with quicker guards because they were able to just be faster than him, but he was great at leading them into his big. He was great at sticking with him, and he was pretty good at navigating off-ball screens. Like, I was very surprised by how good he was at navigating off-ball screens, because he's not very good at navigating on-ball screens. He often gets caught up and then kind of trails behind the play. I know it doesn't always make the second effort to get there like a Draymond Green does, and he doesn't have the same type of verticality. Of course, being only like 6'4", not a great athlete to like challenge those shots in the same way Draymond Green does. But when it comes to just playing the passing lane, always providing help on the bro man or the low man, communicating elitely, always pressuring the ball, Jason Kidd was elite at all of these things, even when he aged out. I think actually as he got older, yes, certain parts of his defensive game fell off, but his ability to rotate because he has less responsibility on the offensive side definitely increased. His ability to just like be everywhere on the floor was extremely impressive. Something that I constantly saw myself noticing, just like, oh, there he is, like helping on Tim Duncan down low. Oh, he recovered to Tony Parker to swipe at the ball. Oh, now he's there fighting for the rebound. All of these things just like constantly making an impact. We don't really see point guards do it because it's like you don't expect a point guard to be able to influence the game on that type of level, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But he really, really does. Like, his ability to like orchestrate a defense cannot be understated. And a major part of that defensive versatility and defensive value is how great he was at crashing the boards and fighting down low. Like, this guy is a guy who get a rebound over Shaq occasionally. Of course, Shaq's gonna get the ball most of the time, but he's also gonna fight every single possession. He's gonna body him up. He's gonna like reach for that ball, make it a tough rebound to grab, and sometimes he's going to get beat, but he's also not, and he's going to make it easier for his team to get the rebound even if he doesn't. I was watching I think it's game 2 of the 2003 NBA Finals against the Spurs, and he has a possession where he rotates down low to help double team Tim Duncan on the block. That's the ball. Tim Duncan kicks it out to Tony Parker. He rotates over, he swipes the ball, makes Tony Parker have to throw a really awkward shot, and then he boxes out Tim Duncan, gets a fingertip on the ball and tips it out to his teammate, and before you even know it, he's already halfway up the floor running the fast break. And I think this is something that like Russell Westbrook does it as well, or did it as well when he was in OKC. His ability to grab a rebound and then just go coast to coast and score. Jason Kidd doesn't have that same ability to go coast to coast and score, but he was amazing at leading a fast break. Like, he would just get the ball, fight for a tough rebound, and before the opponent's bigs can even react, he's halfway across the floor with a guy like Richard Jefferson or Kerry Kittles running the break with him, and that's a high percentage shot almost every single possession for the Nets. When he was with Phoenix, for example, he had guys like Penny Hardaway. He also had Rodney Rogers on that team. All these guys were capable of running the break, picking and popping, or just going straight for the basket. And Jason Kidd was amazing at finding these guys, hitting tough, tight windows in transition. He could pinpoint those passes at a very high level in the half court. His ability to pass in very tight windows is extremely impressive. Songs for Jason Kidd's going up for a layup, and he knows he can't make the shot, so he just little like dump back pass behind him out to a 3-point shooter. Bang, they're tied game, you know? Just stuff like this where he's able to fully be aware of the court, make the right play on both ends, and always generate a high percentage look is extremely impressive. As well, going back to the defensive side, his on-ball defense was extremely impressive. This is a guy who could pressure, switch 1 through 3 even when he was younger in his career, and only got better at it as he aged out. In the 2002 playoff finals against the Lakers, he guards Kobe for certain possession, then he goes to Derek Fisher, and then he switches out to Rick Fox for a couple possessions. Doesn't always hold his own, but you can tell that it's not an easy matchup for a bigger guy, where most of the time if you're switching your point guard out to a 3, especially back then in the early 2000s, they're getting bullied down low, and Jason Kidd had a great ability to just like battle them down in post. Very quick active hands, led the league in steals multiple times, is like 5th all time in steals, 34th all time in rebounds, is the only guard in the top 40 in rebounds in league history, much better than West. I think Jason Kidd's a very interesting player because he's able to do countless things on the floor on both ends, but he struggled to score the basketball at any high volume and high efficiency. This is a guy who never shot 50% from the field ever in his career. During his prime, he has a 51% true shooting from 1988 to 2004, which is below league average. Only shot like 44% on 2s at his peak years. Was never a good 3-point shooter. That only fell off in the playoffs from his peak years from 33% from 3 in the regular season, only down to 26% in the postseason. This is a guy who really struggled to score the basketball because he had a very limited offensive game, did not have a great jump shot, did not have great touch around the rim either. Something that I've realized, you really just are, for certain things, I think touch is one of them, you really are just born with a soft touch or not, and he was not born with a soft touch. He would just be kind of clinking things. He did not have a good jump shot for most of his career until Dallas, and even then he was a very good spot up 3-point shooter, but nothing ever more than that. I think his overall just offensive limitations really does hurt his ability to carry a team in the playoffs. The 2 years that the Nets made the finals, he averaged like 21 points, 8 rebounds, and pretty much 10 assists, which is amazing. And like, this is a guy who was pretty much a near triple-double, averaged a near triple-double for most of his peak years. I think from 1998 to 2004, he's averaging 17, 7, and 9, or 17, 7, and 10. Just very impressive stuff, and those numbers do go up in the postseason, but his efficiency falls off in comparison to that. As you get into later rounds in the playoffs, your inability to generate easy, high efficiency offense for yourself really starts to matter more and more. I think this is a reason why guys like Patrick Ewing, Joel Embiid, and Karl Malone to a certain extent kind of struggle to make as much impact as they did in the regular season on the offensive side into the postseason, because Patrick Ewing's case, tough fadeaway twos and post moves are always going to be tough shots. It's good when you can make them at a high rate, but you can't trust on that offense to always carry you through. Joel, for example, he's a guy who's also very perimeter oriented, likes his mid-range pick and pops, likes getting to the free throw line, like kind of facing up, doing a little 1-2 move and then hitting the shot. But that's just not easy, high efficiency offense, and Jason Kidd was very much the same way. Like, I can't tell you a signature move Jason Kidd has. I can't tell you like, oh, if his team needed a bucket, they could throw it to him down here or down here and he can get them a bucket. Especially in the playoffs, not being able to do that really negatively impacts your offense as well as your team's chances at winning. I do think him being such an elite passer made up for it, because teams still had to pressure him. And it's not like, you know, if you just leave him wide open, he can hit a shot. He can get downhill, he can attack off a closeoff. You leaving him wide open, you're giving him easy defensive looks. Like, he can still do something there. When you're like loading up on him and you're really taking away his passing lanes and passing ability, like, he can't really beat you. Like, he's the type of guy who like can get hot, and if he's hot for a quarter or for a half, you know, he can pour in 14, 15 points in a half or something like that, or like 12 points, 8 points in a quarter. But then he'll follow up with the next quarter shooting like 0 for 6. I just think that like inability to score does hold him back when it comes to being like a true number one option on a championship team. So it's tough. It's tough. I don't know for sure if I can say Jason Kidd could be a number one option on a championship team. I think he was too limited as an offensive piece to really do anything for you in the highest stage. Like, he has a couple of really good outbursts in scoring, but they don't necessarily lead to winning because he's taking so many shots. And I think like a lot of the time people will compare him because him and Steve Nash's like offensive like point per production and like assist per game numbers look very similar. And I think people will often compare those two and be like, well, Jason Kidd is like 10 times a defender. And it's like, yes, but like the difference on offense truly between like a guy like Steve Nash or Jason Kidd is so immense. Like, the efficiency, the ability to ramp up scoring when needed, the ability to like make defenses completely shut down and respond to you is such a big gap that like I don't think the defense matters as much. I think defense at the point guard spot especially isn't as valuable on like an overall team skill, because you're not taking away shots at the rim, which are the best shots, and this is before the 3-point revolution, so a lot of it is still just like tough twos, and he's making them even tougher, but he's not like impacting the two highest percentage shots in the same way. Like, Jason Kidd was never a great or shot blocking guard. He was very good at like contesting, very good at drawing fouls, but he was just never great at shot blocking. So I don't think I can say he's better than Steve Nash. I don't think I can say he's better than Chris Paul. I don't think I can say he's better than Curry or Magic or Oscar Robertson. But then I think like once you get into, I probably have to look a little bit more at Gary Payton before I say anything like that, but I feel like he's in like that I know I said I wouldn't answer this question, but I think he's in that like 6 through 10 range of all-time point guards. He's like one of, I think, the best defensive point guards we've ever seen. His ability to switch 1 through 3, pressure the ball, rotate, be an amazing help side defender, great court awareness, always positioning properly. Not always, but mostly positioning properly. His ability to like lead a fast break, grab defensive rebounds at an extremely high clip, great vision, all of these things. I think they make up for his lack of like individual one-on-one scoring ability. And like in a team's offensive system, like you can get Jason Kidd like good percentage shots. Like he would often do this thing where he brings the ball up, passes to a guy like Kerry Kittles, and then he runs to the other side of the floor. They said like a down screen for him, and he comes off, and Kerry Kittles hit him, and he can hit that mid-range shot occasionally, or he can get going to the rim, and then if a team collapses on him from either side, he can kick the ball out and get a high percentage shot for the team that way. And they would occasionally run down like some pin downs just for him to like get a shot going. He can do those things, but like you can't really expect Jason Kidd to score points for you. And I think at the point guard spot, you kind of need to be able to score points efficiently if you're not going to score a lot of them to truly be in that top 5. And I think Jason Kidd falls short. So to answer my original question, I don't think Jason Kidd can be the best player on a championship team. I think he could be like an amazing second option where he's handling a lot of ball handling duties. He's taking the toughest perimeter defender as well as helping on your help defense. He's getting high percentage shot for your role players as well as your main star. But I think if you're relying on Jason Kidd to score 25 for you or 20, you just can't rely on him for that. And for that reason, I don't think he can be a number 1. This is a very different style of video. I think throughout this whole video, I'm probably going to have parts where I just stop and like talk over the game footage to really highlight what I want to say. But if you like this style of video, thank you for watching. I hope you made it to the end. Have a good day. Bye.